Jeff, the Cleveland Indians are an interesting team to me. They just seem to have a lot of talent, a lot of different pieces, but for whatever reason, they can't put it together, or they haven't as of yet. One guy you were on last year, and accurately so, we talked about this, I remember very vividly because I ended up drafting him, was Jason Kipnis, who had a pretty good year in his first full season in Major League Baseball, 76 ribbies, 14 home runs, 31 stolen bases for an infielder. Good stuff there. I mean, the slugging at 379, okay. But the bottom line is, I mean, this was a pretty good year. Do you expect him to take it up a notch, or is this what we're going to see from him year in and year out?
I think that I was right and I was wrong. I was right that he's valuable, but how he got there is a little bit different. He had, the 31 stolen bases. The most he'd ever stolen in a year previous season was 12. So I really didn't expect to see that. But I think that he'll hit for better average this year and hit for a little bit more power. So the flip side, there's some positive outcomes for him too.
Jeff, one guy that I was on as well last year as a rookie was Cespedes in Oakland. I mean, this Cuban guy was just phenomenal. He had some injury problems that limited him to just under 130 games on the year, but almost hitting 300, driving in over 80 runs in a with a team that's not known as an offensive juggernaut lineup, and obviously not the greatest hitting ballpark either. Pretty impressive to me. With a year under his belt, is this another guy that you expect to take a step up?
I think you'll see more of the same. I think, the one thing about Cespedes is he hit for better average than he probably should have. And I say that because, his strikeout rate is relatively high.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I'm a little bit worried about. I think he'll play, the question is, he might be healthier, so he'll get more counting stats, but I don't think he'll hit 292 again. Struck out 102 times and 487 at-bats. That's a 79%. It's like a 79% contact rate. It's not terrible, but it's not good either. I suspect that batting average will go down just a little bit. But I do like the power-speed combo. The other thing you're going to have to watch out for in keeper leagues is he might be a permanent DH this year. A's added Chris Young, so they have yet another outfielder. They got a pretty crowded outfield right now between Young, Chris, Brandon Moss, Cespedes, Reddick. I mean, they've got a number of different guys that can play the outfield. So that's one thing you want to watch out for. But, I think he's probably a fourth or fifth round sort of talent right now.
All right, a guy who's very interesting to follow as well is James Shields, who's now going to be pitching with the Kansas City Royals, coming off another James Shield-like year. Pretty good stuff. Mm-hmm. So do you expect more from him, or is this now a case of him not maybe having the same kind of run support, although Tampa Bay is not known as an offensive powerhouse either, but
right.
How does that park affect him, and what are your thoughts on him now with KC?
Well, KC is an interesting place because one thing James Shields does, his weakness might be giving up a lot of homers, and KC is a tough place to hit the ball out of. On the flip side, Shields had a huge home road split in the past. He was much better at home than he was on the road. Kansas City, it's a neutral run-scoring environment, but positive in terms of trying to shut down the homers. So it might work to his advantage. However, he won't also have the same great catcher defense he got out of Jose Molina, one of the best framers of pitches in baseball, if not the best, maybe one of the best of this generation. I'm curious. And then one counter to the counter argument is he gets the AL Central instead of the AL East, and that can't be a bad thing.
Reliever for the St. Louis Cardinals, Jason Mott, exploded onto the saves scene last year, 42 saves. He's been around for a while, but obviously being used as the closer predominantly last year was just a tremendous success for the Cardinals, who once again were a contender. Is this a guy who you expect to continue, or more of the same, or
yes.
Or what are we going to? Yeah, that's what you're thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a shortage of really reliable closers out there, and he's one of them. He's definitely one of the guys I'll take among my top 5 to 7 closers.
All right. Elsewhere in Major League Baseball, a guy that's kind of maybe an enigma to me in Atlanta is Freddie Freeman. 94 ribbies last year, 23 home runs. Do we expect more out of him? Maybe a higher batting average? He hit 282 the year before, 259 last year. What do you expect out of Freddie Freeman?
I'm very bullish on Freddie Freeman. It's rare to see a guy at his age hold his own at this level. Keep in mind, Freddie Freeman is still just 23 years old. He's already had 2 full seasons at the major league level, showed improvements at everything except for batting average across the board. His batting eye got better. He struck out less. He hit for more power. He did this in 30 fewer at bats too. The only thing is he doesn't run. So there's only a handful of first basemen that do. You're looking at basically Eric Hosmer and Paul Goldschmidt is the only first baseman that run that much. But Freeman, I think bigger and better things are on the horizon here.
Jeff, in only 396 at-bats, we saw 28 home runs from a guy who's certainly not a household name. Tell the folks out there about the catcher for the Colorado Rockies, Willen Rosario.
Great power bat. Love to see him get a few more walks. The big, red flag for Willen Rosario is his defense. Led the majors in pass balls last year by a significant margin, despite not having a knuckleballer to catch. He can lose playing time. Ramon Hernandez is still there, and I think that he will cut into his playing time here and there, especially maybe against some of the more delicate pitchers that they have. That's the one thing that works against Rosario. But we also have a new manager. Jim Tracy would sit Rosario last year. We don't know if Walt Weiss is going to be doing the same thing.
Is he a candidate to possibly end up being a DH at some point in his career?
Perhaps, yeah. He could get the Victor Martinez treatment. He could maybe. They played him actually at third base, believe it or not, a few times. When Todd Helton ultimately retires, maybe they move him to first base a little bit if they have another catcher in the organization. Right now, they still have Tyler Colvin, though, too, and they got to find a place for him to play. So whenever Helton can't play, I think Colvin gets those starts at first base.
All right, final question for Jeff Erickson from rotowire.com. You can follow him as well on twitter.com/Jeff_Erickson. Is there a ceiling for Andrew McCutchen? It's getting better and better. Is he going to get even better in 2013?
There's one red flag for him, too, and that's the stolen bases might drop off. Caught 12 times in his 32 attempts last year. That's not a good percentage. If that keeps up, that might mean that he gets fewer opportunities on the base path. Aside from that, I'm a believer. His skill for hitting for average improved. He's hitting for more power. He's hitting his peak years in terms of, most hitters age 27 to 29 are really when they blow up, and he's approaching that. So he's a top 10 pick, that's for sure. But that's the one thing I'd watch out for to see if he still runs.
OBP last year, 400, not too shabby. Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for chiming in. Again, the website is rotowire.com. They also provide, of course, content to all the major websites out there, fantasy-wise. And who's on the cover this year for Fantasy Baseball in the magazine? We've
got a dual cover of Bryce Harper and Mike Trout. We're pretty happy with that. It just hit the newsstand, so look out for that now. You can always order it from us from the site as well.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Appreciate your time.
Anytime, Matthew. Thank you.
All right, there you go. That's Jeff Erickson from rotowire.com.